discussing and going through every single Premier League team and talking a little bit about how their preseason has been going. So, by now, every Premier League club has played at least one preseason game, so we've got to see every club. And I thought maybe some of you, probably a lot of you, don't watch preseason, which is fair enough. Want to relax, want some downtime. Quite frankly, especially these early ones are quite boring, but you can actually learn quite a bit about how your team's going to shape up next season, which players are looking good, certain tactics that are being used, etc. So I'm going to run you through all of that in this video. I'm going to go through every Premier League team, tell you what we've learned from their opening preseason games, and if you guys do enjoy them, please let me know by leaving a like on the video, and then maybe I can make this a sort of running theme throughout preseason and updating you guys on it. But also as well, after we looked at each Prem team, we'll look at some sort of general teams around Europe in the big leagues and talk a little bit about their going, and then we'll also talk about some of the just absolutely crazy results that have happened in preseason so far, because there's always some really random results. But anyway, let's begin. So we start off with Manchester City. Manchester City got their preseason campaign underway as they suffered a 4-3 defeat to Scottish champions Celtic. Without a number of international stars, the reigning Premier League title holders treated fans to an entertaining affair with Brendan Rodgers' side in North Carolina. There were a few experienced heads in City's starting lineup. Haaland did lead the line, and the Norwegian actually took the captain's armband. This is probably due to the lack of senior players in the team, but could be a suggestion that Haaland is starting to become a leader at Man City, and maybe next season could be part of the leadership group at Manchester City. He also did score in the game as well, so clearly no signs of him slowing down. Another notable story was the performance of Oscar Bob. Bob has already shown City fans glimpses of his talent, and he'll have to bide his time before getting regular minutes, but the 21-year-old showed he is ready for a much more vital role this season. In the defeat versus Celtic, he scored to make it 1-1 and also got 2 brilliant assists in a man-of-the-match performance. Potentially expect Oscar Bob to feature more prominently next season for City. Manchester United. United's pre-season began with a loss to Rosenborg in Norway, although the squad was very depleted, with it mainly being a youth team. Videk was the only Man United player to feature the full 90 minutes, and the Czechia shotstopper gave a good account of himself. He was forced into 7 saves before Rosenborg's Holm finally broke the deadlock. Videk has been part of United's youth setup. He'll likely move on again this summer, although who knows, he could potentially stay at the club as a third choice keeper because he put in a really, really good display in that game. The real start to pre-season kicked off versus Rangers in a 2-0 win. Lenny Yoro made his debut and looked pretty comfortable, while Jadon Sancho also made his return to Manchester United. United's best player though was undoubtedly Amad Diallo, who scored the game's sublime opening goal and ran Rangers' backline ragged. Given how he finished last season, there seems to be every chance that this could be the year Amad really stakes a meaningful claim in the United squad, so definitely watch out for how he does in the rest of pre-season, as this could be a really, really good year for Amad Diallo. Liverpool. Arne Slot's first pre-season match ended in a 1-0 defeat to Preston in a behind-closed-doors friendly at Liverpool's training ground. Slot lined up in a 4-3-3 formation, similar to under Jurgen Klopp. Salah, Szoboszlai, Harvey Elliott and Conor Bradley all featured, with Salah tasked to lead the line in the first half, although most of the squad was pretty much youth players. The 4-3-3 formation is expected, and while we can't really read too much into this game due to most players missing, it was very interesting to see Arne Slot's tactics for the first time, but we are going to get a real glimpse into the side in the coming weeks as they go on their US preseason tour. Spurs. Tottenham Hotspur made it 2 wins out of 2 with a 2-0 win over QPR, following on from their 5-1 win over Scottish side Hearts. The most interesting thing to take from these 2 games is Archie Gray, the new signing from Leeds, in both games lined up as a centre-back. Now I'm not sure if this is just because they are missing their centre-backs, or maybe this could be a new role for Gray. We'll have to wait and see on that one, but it was definitely very interesting to see. Another of Spurs' recent arrivals, however, Lucas Bergvall, had to be withdrawn after 25 minutes due to an injury versus QPR, which was disappointing for Spurs, and I'll be hoping he's okay, as he could be a potential breakout star for Spurs this season. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Spurs. A solid start to pre-season for them, although tougher opposition are up and coming. Chelsea's first match under Enzo Maresca ended all square with League One Wrexham and Nkunku put the Blues ahead before Wrexham turned the match around and Leslie Ugochukwu levelled in the final 10 minutes. Overall, it was a fairly below-par game from Chelsea, who, to be fair, were playing a side who had already played a game before. Shout out to Wrexham, though, who have started pre-season well, with a draw to Premier League sides Bournemouth and Chelsea. Anyways, perhaps the biggest thing we learned was the inverted fullback under Maresca being the right back, with Reece James and Malo Gusto performing this role in the game. Despite this being a friendly, there was actually a fight that broke out in the 3rd minute between Levi Colwill and James McLean. If this was a normal game, both probably would have been sent off, and ill discipline was an issue last season for us, so that is a bit of a worrying sign. There was a return to centre-back for Wesley Fofana after more than a year out through injury, which was nice to see, and also many other players who were injured last year appear to be fully fit, including Reece James and Romeo Lavia, who ironically played more minutes in this game than he did the entire of last season. Debutant Mark Gu up front looked promising, but Christopher Nkunku was the standout player, playing in a sort of free number 8-10 role. He was everywhere and looks like he will be a key player for Enzo Maresca this season. Arsenal kicked off pre-season versus Bournemouth in a 1-1 draw. Fabio Vieira gave Arsenal a lead before a second-half goal by Semenyo brought Bournemouth level. The contest went to a penalty shootout where Arsenal came out on top after their young goalkeeper Carl Hein saved twice. A number of young players shone for Arsenal, such as the club's youngest ever player Ethan Nweri, who created a chance for Eddie Nketiah after starting the attack from his own half. He looks ready to make the jump to regular first-team football, and this year could be one to watch. Interestingly, Smith Rowe did not feature, with media reports linking him with a move to Fulham, and it seems very likely that he will be leaving. Overall, it was a solid start to pre-season for Arsenal, and the youngsters are looking really good. Aston Villa continued their winning start to pre-season thanks to goals from Leon Bailey, the informed Morgan Rogers and Cameron Archer versus Spartak Trnava. After scoring twice in their first friendly victory against Walsall, Morgan Rogers has 3 goals in 2 pre-season outings and looks like he's ready to have a sensational season this year after a solid debut campaign. He ended last year particularly well as well, so this really could be the year Morgan Rogers makes a name for himself in that Villa squad. But right now, 2 comfortable victories for Villa, although they were against 2 fairly poor opposition. Newcastle there, with Harvey Barnes, Jacob Murphy and Alexander Isak on target. The return from injury of Nick Pope will be welcome news for Newcastle head coach Eddie Howe, after the Newcastle backline struggled following his injury last December, but he appears fit and ready again. Fellow goalkeeper Odysseus Vladikimas also made his first appearance for the club since signing from Nottingham Forest. Bournemouth Hollywood star and Wrexham owner Rob McElhenney was among the spectators as Marcus Senesi grabbed a equaliser to earn a 1-1 draw in the States for Bournemouth vs Wrexham. The former Philip Billing, who provided the assist for the leveller, would have been encouraging for Andoni Iraola, while new signing Daniel Jefferson got a useful 45 minutes under his belt. Bournemouth also played in a special kit designed by actor and club shareholder Michael B. Jordan, which was pretty cool, and I must say, if you haven't seen it, it's a banging kit. Might have to go buy it, can't lie. Bournemouth then drew 1-1 to Arsenal, which is another encouraging result. They fielded a much stronger side in this game, and players such as Tom Solanke impressed massively as Iraola's side begin to pick up momentum. Everton. 2 goals from Yusuf Shamiti helped Everton fight back from 2-0 down to draw 3-3 with Irish side Sligo Rovers. Sean Dyche would have been pleased with a number of his players, particularly in the second half, with Shamiti in particular, who is aiming to kick on after a slow first season for Everton, and the early signs are promising from the young striker. Potentially this could be the year where he really announces himself at Everton. Summer signings Ilman Ndiaye and Tim Eric Bonham also made their debuts, and Eric Bonham in particular looked very, very assured and comfortable in the midfield for Everton. Brighton. Fabian Hurtzler's first match in charge of Brighton ended in a victory with a thumping 5-1 win. Debutant Amari Dewberry scored twice, and the other debutant Yankuba Minter also scored a very nice goal, which is very promising for Brighton fans to see their new boys settling in already. The big story though was Gary Mittermann's first appearance for Brighton since February. The Japan star rattled the woodwork early on and then set up new signing Minter with a sublime pass for a shot that was well saved. The early signs of a promising partnership between the two was evident, and a very, very strong start from Brighton. West Ham. Lopetegui tasted victory in his first match in charge at West Ham with a wonderful Andy Irving curler, claiming a narrow victory versus Dagenham and Redbridge. Summer signings Max Gilman and Lewis Gilherm both started, while new goalkeeper Wes Foderingham came on in the second half. It wasn't the best performance, but more so a fitness game for West Ham, although some of the youngsters did pretty well for West Ham, and potentially could get more of an opportunity this season if they continue to impress in pre-season. Southampton. Sagumara scored versus his former club Bordeaux as they secured back-to-back pre-season wins with a 3-2 victory. Free scoring Saints took their tally to 10 goals in 2 matches after a 7-1 win versus Eastleigh. Interestingly, Polish goalkeeper Mateusz Liz, who joined in 2022 but hasn't played a game for the club yet, being loaned out, featured in the second half of the 7-1 win and played the full 90 versus Bordeaux, so maybe could be in line to be a starting goalkeeper for the Saints this season. Definitely one to watch. Crystal Palace. A 90th minute equaliser from Raksaki secured a draw in Palace's second pre-season match versus Charlton. New signings Chadi Riyad and Daichi Kamada both started for the Eagles, with the latter setting up Raksaki's leveller. As well as his assist, Kamada nearly set up a goal for Riyad, and overall Kamada looked really good and looks like he is settling in nicely to Crystal Palace, which is encouraging for Palace fans. Nottingham Forest. Goals from Chris Wood and Callum Hudson-Odoi in either half maintained Forest's unbeaten start to pre-season as they beat Millwall. However, Nuno will hope the knock that forced off summer signing Elliot Anderson is not as serious, as that would be a big blow for Forest if he was to be injured. Let's see what happens with that one. The performances of Hudson-Odoi so far have been really good as well, as he produced 2 assists in a 3-0 win at Chesterfield in their first game, and of course got a goal versus Millwall. He was key for Forest last season, and the early signs are that he will continue this great form this year as well. Leicester. Leicester recorded a second consecutive 2-1 victory as Stevie Mafidi's free kick and a Ghazi McAteer chip secured a win versus Shrewsbury. The big storyline, rather unfortunately, was the own goal from Fox's debutant Caleb Okoli, who joined this summer from Atalanta. Not an ideal start to life at Leicester by any means, although Okoli's response to his own goal was positive. The new centre-back also made an excellent block and showed great positional awareness, so Leicester fans probably shouldn't worry too much about this one, although it is rather comical. Brentford. Brentford cruised to a 5-2 win over Wimbledon in their first pre-season game, with their attackers all performing very well. Johan Wieser, Kevin Schade and Brian Mbeumo all scored, but in particular it was the new signing Igor Thiago, who scored 2 goals on his Brentford debut. Midfielder Stuart Armstrong, who is on trial with Brentford, also got a chance, so it'll be interesting to see if he is offered a contract off the back of his performances. They then played Benfica, which was a much greater test, but they held their own in a solid 1-1 draw, with the attack yet again doing well and Brian Mbeumo on the score sheet again. There is a bit of concern, however, as in between these games, Thiago picked up an injury which will rule him out at the start of the season, and that's a catastrophic blow, especially given how promising he looked in that game versus Wimbledon. Wolves. Matheus Cunha, Hwang Hee-chan and an own goal ensured Wolves eased past their championship opponents Bristol City in a behind closed doors game. Rather than a normal 90 minutes, this encounter consisted of 4 30-minute quarters in order to maximise both the number of players Gary O'Neill used, along with the match minutes to increase fitness levels. Hwang and Cunha, who both were injured at the back end of last season, both looked really sharp, although there was an unfortunate incident involving Hwang in their other pre-season game versus Como, where he was allegedly racially abused. The Como response to that, if you haven't seen it, well, let's just say was unsatisfactory to say the least. Ipswich kicked off their pre-season campaign with a win versus Shakhtar Donetsk. Sam Morsey proved he can be a scoring threat against top quality opponents in this game, as he got the only goal of the game. In his last 3 league campaigns he has scored 10 goals and provided 16 assists. This game was encouraging to show he is definitely capable of performing at the highest level. And finally we have Fulham. Fulham were 4-0 winners in their opening game versus QPR, with Harry Wilson grabbing a brace. Raul Jimenez and Adama Traore also scored, and Adama will be hoping to have a big impact on this season as he ended the last one on some decent form, while Harry Wilson will also be looking to step up this year, and both have made some encouraging starts to pre-season. Right, so now we're going to look briefly at some of the bigger clubs across Europe then and talk about how they've been getting on. So Bayern Munich's Vincent Kompany era started with a friendly win, with Matthias Tel netting a first half hat-trick in a 14-1 victory against 9th tier FC Rotak Ergen. Now, I don't know, maybe there's some Bayern researching this Rotterdam Argentine Bayern play pretty much every year since 2018. And let me read out the scores. 2018, 22. 2019, 23-0. 2023, 27-0. And then obviously this year, 14-1. I'm not sure why these guys play all the time, but gosh, these Rotterdam Argentine boys are just, I feel so bad because they're just getting battered every single year. Anyway, another new Bundesliga manager, Nuri Sahin, didn't get off quite as well as a start with Dortmund. His first game at the helm saw Dortmund draw 1-1 with a third-tier German side, Erzgebirge. Yeah, these German teams are killing me right now. Before they sell off on a preseason tour of Asia, where they face BG Pantham United, who finished 4th in the Thai League last season, and with a team featuring the likes of Karim Adeyemi, Yusuf Makoko, Julian Brand and Nicolas Sula, they were battered 4-0. Yeah, crazy. They did bounce back with a 3-2 win versus a Japanese side, although right now, the Sahin era hasn't really got off to a great start. In Serie A, Napoli played their first pre-season friendly match under Antonio Conte, with goals from the new signing Leandro Spinazzola. Conte named a 3-4-2-1 formation, and reportedly has been putting his players through some intense training programs to get fit for this season. Spinazzola getting a goal is very encouraging, as we know Conte does very well with wing backs. Hopefully, Spinazzola can get back to his best after that injury derailed him at the Euros. After 2 weeks of working with the team, Paulo Fonseca's first game in charge of AC Milan ended 1-1, and he was relatively pleased after full-time whistle with some encouraging signs. On the other side of Milan, Inter 1-1 versus third-tier Italian side Pergolotesi, with new signing Peter Zielinski in particular impressing. He could be a really good player for Inter if they can get him performing back to his best. Roma picked up a 6-1 win in a good run-out versus lower division opposition, and new signing Enzo Lefebvre from Liga managed to score, which was nice to see, and then they followed it up with a 1-1 draw versus a Slovakian side. There was also one of the weirdest results of pre-season. Udinese lost 9-0 to Al Ahly, a team from Dubai. Yeah, really random. Now I don't know if it was just Udinese's youngsters out there or something, but if I was the first, I'd be very concerned. Anyway, here are some other random results from pre-season which caught my eye. So we have League 2 Doncaster smacking up Championship Hull City 4-0. National League team Boston United playing an insane game versus League 1 Peterborough, which ended 6-4 Peterborough. The game was 4-4 in the 60th minute. Absolutely mental. Cardiff beat 6-time Bundesliga champions Hamburg 3-0. League 2 Crew Alexander Arnold only lost 3-1 to La Liga side Mallorca, which was pretty impressive. Second division Spanish side LJ beating Saudi giants Al Ittihad, who have Karim Benzema, N'Golo Conte and others, 2-0. Bundesliga side Heidenheim scoring 14 second half goals and winning 20-0 versus a semi-pro German side. And finally, it's not a pre-season game, but Fenerbahce under Jose Mourinho played their qualifying game for the Champions League, winning a 7-goal thriller versus Lugano 4-3. I really hope Fenerbahce qualify for the Champions League this season, as Mourinho back in the Champions League. Oh boy, that's going to be box office, and I'll keep you up to date with how that goes. Also, I should probably mention about the Olympics as well, I guess, while we're here. France absolutely destroyed Team USA 3-0 in their opening game. Michael Elise with an absolute beauty, same with Alexander Lacazette. And if you haven't seen it, I'm sure you have, Argentina-Morocco played insane game. Morocco beat Argentina, which in itself is great. Great shock. But Argentina, I mean, the game got delayed for 2 hours, and then after 2 hours they delayed the VAR rules out the goal, which had been scored earlier. Like, it was like absolute madness, absolute madness. But yeah, that's what's going on in the men's football Olympics so far, and that's what's going on in football right now. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video, found it a bit informative and learned something about how preseason is going for certain clubs. If you want to see me do this again, make sure to leave a like,